South Africa's premier creative event, the Loeries, has moved from Cape Town to Durban. Andrew Human is the Chief Executive Officer. As we look at that, but also perhaps more importantly, the importance of creativity in business. Andrew Human, a very warm welcome to you. For those of us who are uninitiated as far as the Loeries is concerned, a long-standing event. You've moved it from Cape Town to Durban, but it's also now a creative week, not just 1 or 2 nights.
Well, the Loeries is focused around recognising the value that creativity adds, and I think that's an important thing from a business point of view. So it's not looking at art and fine art, and a lot of people think when you say creative, they think it's about a visual entity. So actually what it is showing the value of ideas. So how can we use innovation and ideas to further the purposes of businesses and specifically in brand communication.
Andrew, do you think that's something that business has always got, or they're only starting to understand the importance of that particular element in operations right now?
I think it's actually now it's sort of a golden age of creativity at the moment. It's becoming exciting and businesses are suddenly going, I need creativity. So I don't think it's always been that at all. I think businesses have frowned upon creativity a lot, and there was this thing of saying, I don't want creativity, I want effective work. And now there's a realization that yes, everybody wants effective business, but how do you get it? So that if you are leading in terms of innovation, you will be leading in terms of effectiveness. And this has now been shown with business data that the most innovative companies are the most successful companies.
I want you to mine that a little further for me, that causal link then between creativity and effective brand building, and once you have an effective brand, it's good for business, it's good for bottom line.
So probably the most sound study that was done is James Herman looked at 20 years, so he said, how do we put this argument to bed? And what do we really see in the value of creativity? So he looked at 20 years of data and he said, is there value in creativity? And again, then you say, what is creativity? So he said, I'm going to do it simply. I'm going to look at creatively awarded work versus non-awarded work and say, what is the performance? And then over 20 years, he had some interesting results. And the key results of it were that for one of the main results was that if you want to differentiate your brand and increase your market share, creatively awarded work is 11 times more effective than non-awarded work in increasing your market share. So if you just look at that from a business point of view, first of all, he's put a number to it. So he said, if you do creative work, you will be 11 times more effective than if you don't. And it makes sense intuitively, because if you say, I'm going into the market and I want to increase my market share. So if you're selling bottled water, what's inside those bottles is identical. Everybody's just selling you water. But if you position yourself differently to the rest of the pack and you stand out, that's how you can increase awareness and increase your market share. And he's simply saying, be innovative, selling the same product, and you will increase your market share.
You would also make the point that this is a golden thread that needs to run through the entire continuum of business. It's not something that is necessarily just housed in the marketing department.
Well, I think that's a very good point, because we've introduced a new award this year which is called Service Design, and it's about that last point where the brand actually engages with the customer. So there's no point in having a fantastically
In other words, what? The shelf in the store, is that what you're talking about? So it can be
over the, so when you actually, so you walk into a fast food franchise and you walk up to the counter and now you want to order your burger, and this is where everything falls apart.
Because you've been enticed there by some good, creative, effective advertising, but it doesn't necessarily pull through.
And it doesn't translate. And so and again, even in terms of cleanliness. So you can walk into a restaurant and you say, this table is grubby, and I don't want to eat here again. So then the CEO turns around and says, turns to the marketing director and says, our marketing campaign's not effective. We spent how much money on a marketing campaign and it hasn't converted to sales. And then you say, but hang on a second, your restaurant is dirty. So how your advertising campaign can't fix the fact that you have a dirty restaurant, or when the furniture's old, or the service, the customer relationship at the counter is bad. I'll give you another example. Everybody has horror stories about going into mobile stores and saying, the last thing in the world I want to do is actually walk into the store. And that is where service design is. So how much brand do you build if you create a positive experience. So if I create a mobile store and I say, I will guarantee you that if you come to my store, you will always be served within 30 seconds, and make that a brand attribute.
I've been putting off that visit for the upgrade for such a long time, and you make a very, very good point. Just in conclusion, very successfully operated in Cape Town is your competition. You've moved it though. Why?
So we relook it every 3 years. We were actually in Cape Town for 6 years, and this is the first year in Durban. And I think Durban has a lot of pros. The main difference with Durban and Cape Town is that Durban is a single location. It literally is a beachfront town, and that's the origin of Durban. Is there's a great beach, it's a bay, everything's on that bay. And with the Loeries, what we're doing is focusing more on having everything happening in one environment, so creating much more of a festival type environment and creating a network environment. That's what's important. So you want to have an environment where it's serious, you're coming there for work, you're networking. But I saw a great quote from Sir Martin Sorrell about Cannes, and he said, you must remember it's important to get away from the hurly-burly and have some fun.
Andrew Human, Chief Executive Officer of the Loeries, thank you very much.
Thank you.